Hey guys, Carrie Flatla here, Remax Real Estate Lethbridge for this week's Friday Fire. So I'm just going to jump right into it today because I got so much going on and have to present an offer shortly. So what matters most when hiring a service provider? I think people are so confused because they're so bombarded with marketing and advertising now and so much information. I mean, when we're not doing something at work or with our friends and family, we are scrolling Facebook, we're surfing the internet, we're just constantly being hit with marketing and advertising messages, and even on a local level, right? So it's very confusing, and I wanted to talk about this because I see this in our real estate consumers as well. You know, we get inquiries all the time, we sit down with people, they have so many questions. But even worse, they're not even sure what to ask anymore. By no fault of their own, it's just so confusing. And I think that this applies not only to real estate and choosing a real estate agent, but it applies to choosing any service provider, especially if you're going to pay them a lot of money for helping you with very important decisions or something like that. So, you know, I was reading a statistic this morning, and it's a bit unbelievable, this number, but the American Marketing Association said by 2017 we were receiving about 10,000 marketing messages per day. 10,000. I've read another statistic that back in the 70s that number was about 500, which already seems ridiculously high. 10,000 advertising and marketing messages per day. That's a lot. So I wanted to just boil it down. You know, I've been in business long enough. I think I've seen enough of a pattern. We know what's working in our business, that's for sure. So it's really just three things. It's the same things over and over again. And the cool thing about boiling it down to just three is it doesn't matter what you hear or see in marketing. You can put it into one of these three buckets, and all these three things feed each other. So each one of these things you can find, but can you find all three of them working together when you're choosing a service provider? So if you know to look for all three, you're going to get the optimal experience and result. So the first thing is service. What kind of service can they provide you? Service is key. We tend to be very focused on the outcome, and we tend to be very focused on the messaging in the brand, but what kind of service can they provide? So you're really looking at, from the minute I have a conversation with that service provider, that very initial contact, all the way through to the outcome at the end and the follow-up. The whole thing, initial contact, the experience throughout the delivery of that service, and then what happens after. Does anyone follow up? Do they care how it went? And how does it look throughout the process of delivering the service? So communication, informing you at the level you need to be informed. Who's providing the service in that company? You know, is it the leader of the company? Is it a team? Is it you know, who are you going to be in contact with, and what does that look like? Communication is everything. As far as I'm concerned, 90% of service problems can be resolved with communication. So what is their communication plan? Is communication intentional? Do they have a system and structure for following up with you, for educating you, for keeping you on track with the milestones throughout that service? The second thing is trust. You have to feel that you can trust that person. And this can be a hard thing to suss out when you're looking for a service provider because it's kind of subjective in a way when you don't know that company or those people very well. I would suggest that the best way to gauge trust and trustworthiness is positive word of mouth and the experience that other people have had with that service provider. Look at their testimonials. Google the name of their company or their name. You know, this is why social media and the internet can be really helpful. It can be very overwhelming, but it can be very helpful, is just go find out what their reputation is like in the community. I think trust helps everything else in the process. And if you don't feel like you can trust that service provider, I think the whole experience will not be as good and the result will not be as good. I find, on my team and as a realtor, establishing that trust is crucial to everything else that happens. It's like the foundation of everything we do. Because if you trust me with the biggest transaction of your life and all the little micro decisions that we have to make together going through that process, you're going to be more open with me. And if we can surface your concerns and the pain and what's keeping you up at night, I can give you better advice, because then I can understand what your priorities are, because it's different for everyone. That's a trust thing. That's trust. Without trust, none of that can happen. And then the third thing, which I think is the most obvious, but is better if you have better service and trust, is results. Results matter a lot. So look at the track record of the realtor or the other service provider that you're hiring, and they should be able to provide you performance metrics, and they should be able to provide you, at minimum, success stories and evidence of the results that they have gotten for other people. So it's very easy to say, well, I'll get you a great result. Prove it. Show me. It's a known factor in business that the biggest predictor of future performance is past performance. This is a tenet of human resource management when you're interviewing candidates to bring on into a company. What is their past performance? How did they solve problems in the past? I would suggest you should ask those questions of your prospective service provider. So if this type of problem comes up, how would you handle that? How did you handle that in the past? Past performance, biggest predictor of future performance. How people have acted in the past will predict how they will act in the future. It's just that simple. So service, trust, and results are the three things that all work together to provide you the best experience as the consumer. And again, keep in mind, you can get great results, but not be trustworthy and not provide great service. You can be very Machiavellian about it and just get a result at any cost. That's not good for anybody, and it's not good for you as the consumer because you're not protected. You can provide great service, but maybe not get a great result. You could be very trustworthy, but perhaps don't have the experience to deliver. So service, trust, and results all work together to help you choose the best service provider for you. I hope that helps and gives you something to chew on going forward as you're trying to sift through all these marketing messages that you're getting every day. It's hard. I have to hire people too to do things in my life, personally and professionally. And those are the three things I always look at when making a decision. So if you have any more questions, or you're looking to hire a great real estate team to list your home or find a great home, just give me a call or message me 403-382-7335 at Carey Flatland Associates. Stay warm and have a terrific weekend despite the snow. Bye-bye.